So I'm here today with John Broughton, a very experienced Vice President of Marketing. I'm delighted to speak to you today, John. I know we had a good conversation about around a week ago, so I'm keen to get your thoughts on marketing, particularly focused, on the medical device industry. I've seen huge changes in recruitment in terms of what marketing looks like. But could you sort of just talk me through how you've seen marketing, evolve, particularly in your industry, throughout your career?
Happy to, Justin, and thank you for having me on today. Yes, marketing has changed a lot in my career. And in terms of full disclosure, I started in sales, medical device sales, early on in my career. And then, I don't know, about 15, 20 years ago, I was interested in marketing. I remember a mentor of mine came and talked to me about launching new products and developing new products. And so I kind of got the marketing bug and made that transition from sales and have enjoyed it ever since.
Yeah.
I think that the biggest thing for me is that when I started my career, marketing and sales, in my mind, and others too, were very separate silos.
Yeah.
Marketing, from a sales perspective, would create the brochures or create the advertising pieces. And then it would be my job in sales to kind of go figure out where the customer is and deliver that brochure or that product. I'd be responsible for demonstrating the product in terms of a medical device and ultimately own that relationship with the customer in terms of getting them to purchase.
Yeah.
What I've seen change, though, is sort of this. If you look at the overall customer experience from awareness, so somebody doesn't even know who you are, awareness to some general interest to consideration to that ultimate purchase, it's now more than ever working together with marketing. Marketing focuses on sort of the awareness and interest, creating that, if you will, demand. And then sales is there really to help execute and build that relationship with the customer, more so than marketing can, because they're the sort of feet on the ground. So it's kind of been an interesting evolution, if you will, in my career in terms of how we initially worked together and how we work together today.
Yeah, and I've seen similar parallels as we discussed last week, in recruitment, where the two were completely siloed, but now they seem to work completely side by side and support each other. And that wasn't the feeling sort of 25 years ago. So similar in different industries. In terms of building a high performing marketing team, John, what sort of key steps have you learned work best for you in getting that really high performing team to support you?
That's a very good question, and it's something that's evolved over time as well. If you had asked me several years ago, I probably have a different answer, but now I boil it down to really three things.
Yeah.
The first thing is the people, the person that I'm potentially going to hire.
Yeah.
That to me is the most important thing. I'm looking for a good cultural fit, and that's sort of a generic term that, depending on what company you're referring to, it can have a different culture. But what I seek in my interview process is what they're passionate about, and it doesn't necessarily have to be specific to the company. So one of the things I typically ask in an interview process is, come prepared to give me a presentation, 15, 20-minute presentation on what you're passionate about.
Yeah.
And, so part of it is, to judge, okay, can they present in front of a stranger, if you will, how comfortable they are doing that in a group. But then I'm more interested in just hearing about what they're passionate about. So over the course of my career, I hear everything from, certain products from their previous experience. They sometimes present on that. But I've heard passions about, wanting to hike the Appalachian Trail, for instance, or a long trail, or some things that they do, and things like that come out, and it's very interesting to hear. And that's what I'm looking for, is what really motivates them.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. And then the second thing would be the product. Now, I'm not saying that if I'm building a team, they have to know my particular product inside out. But I need some connection, particularly in medical device, to either the customer, which will be typically a physician or nurse, disease state, something that's getting them there. And then the last thing, and quite frankly, the thing that's least important on my list, are all sort of those technical skills. They don't have to be proficient in way to do things. They don't have to know our products per se. We'll teach them that. And if we have a gap, will identify it and get them trained on it. So yes, it's great to have all sorts of skills that they can bring in and experience, but I'm not as concerned with that because whatever gaps there are, we can train to fill.
Good stuff. Excellent. In terms of the future, John, so we've reflected on the changes, throughout your career in marketing. What kind of trends do you see, coming forwards? What do you think will sort of, be a key tool or area for marketing in the future?
Yeah, a couple things on that come to mind. But first, I wanted to kind of say, everything kind of going on, and this is not necessarily related to medical device or pharma industries. So the first thing that's happened, right, is that through the internet and everything, we have a tremendous amount of technology. Going back to my first question, we're no longer so much in silos. When we go in and talk to a customer, there's so much information out there and available. In fact, there's probably too much, right?
Yeah.
That we can know a lot about the customers based on data profiling, based on the data out there. So when we walk in, let's say that we're doing a cold call, traditionally you would just be, walking through a doctor's office or a doctor's building, picking somebody that has a specialty and going calling on them. Yeah. Those days are long gone. We know, how many procedures they're doing, what their ratings are through patients in hospital systems. So there's a tremendous amount of data available. So we can target that awareness. And so that brings me to my first point, is that it is critical that when your sales team walks into a prospective customer, that you have clarity on positioning and you have simple messaging.
Yeah.
So the clarity on positioning means that you don't have to be the greatest thing to everybody that's out there. If you've positioned your product correctly to the right customer segment, chances are you're going to have a higher return, quicker return, I should say, on your initiative. The other thing is that you got to simplify your messaging. And that really speaks to what's coming out of COVID and the pandemic, in that here and as it wells across the world, you have shortages in labor, shortages in staff, and yet they're still asking to do more and more. Yeah. So you get burnout as well. Yeah. But, if you go in with a very complicated message with a lot of stuff behind it, it's just not going to resonate, because the customers that we typically call on, doctors and nurses, they're going to have a lot on their plate. And if you can't boil it down to a couple of key points and something that resonates with them, it's not going to stick. It's going to be a waste of your time. The other trend I see is that closer partnership with sales. Again, before we were in silos, but now we're able to, through mainly technology, merge marketing campaigns with sales directions through CRM. So a good example of this is classic marketing example. We create a brochure, we hand it off, we train the sales team on it, and then they go out and sort of find the customers, if you will. Yeah. Through CRM and other types of digital tools, we're able now to take that brochure, put it electronically. We're able then to track it and see, okay, so the sales rep sat down with a customer for 10 minutes or whatnot. Where did he or she spend time on the brochure? Is it page one? Is it this graph? That sort of thing. So we can get that instant feedback. And the other thing through CRM is that we can complement sales. So they're out there and they have their targets that they're calling, and we know that. We can see that in CRM, but we can help them with campaigns through contact resource management systems. So we can proactively send out emails. We can send out digital types of communications to help that awareness. Yeah. So ultimately, the biggest change that I'm excited about with marketing is being able to quantify marketing value, because the age-old question is always out there. Hey, marketing, you spend a lot of money. What's your return? What's your value? Yeah. So we're able to now track things like the cost per lead, again, through CRM, even through digital cost per click. Not as much as critical for us, but most importantly, we're able to start quantifying customer lifetime value and what we, over the cost that we spend into it. And that's how I in particular like to track our return on investment for marketing spend. So I hope that gives you some ideas of where I see the trends coming, but overall, it's just really the closeness together to help the process move forward in a more efficient manner.